Welcome to the season 3 garden vlog update between season 2, the end of season 2, and the beginning of like our season 3 whenever it officially starts. I sort of thought that we were going to do like an hour, maybe 45-minute update video, but you know, Mother Nature is unpredictable, and she has given us some major frosts and freezes and stuff. And we got more coming. We are really struggling trying to keep plants moist. See, these are drying out. Moist indoors when we were protecting them from the frost. We have a white sapote there that the husk has been pushed out. Kind of wonder if the root went down there, and as the root is pushing down the soil, is it pushing the husk out and maybe just struggling to open that husk right there? And we do have, see that green spot there? There's one there that's probably preparing to come out. And right there's another one. So 1, 2. So that shows that there's most likely life in all 6 of these first white sapotes that we planted. Arctic lost most of their leaves, but check it out. There's new leaves forming right now, so they're looking a little bit better. Update on the GHB avocado sprouting was there was 4 left unsprouted. Now there are 3 left unsprouted, and the rest of them and all have split and stuff. So we have 2 polyembryonic. Right there's a single seed that sprouted 2, so at least one of those should be genetic clones of the mother plant. This guy right here has at least 3 out of 1 seed. Well, I just went through and watered all these plants, you know, and some of the water might just go, you know, right through the pot and not get the roots good, so we may have to bottom water later or do multiple waterings to try to perk them on. Another bottom watering on this Barbados cherry. As you can see, it lost quite a bit of leaves just from being in the inside, drying out a couple days at a time. Yeah, this is our break time between season 2 and season 3 of the garden vlog. And as you can see, I did like over an hour and a half of video just in part 1. Still got a little bit of a hoarse voice there, getting over the sickness. I'm sure you hear it a lot if you actually watched the whole video previously. But we're doing almost as much work as doing our daily garden vlog. I just, you know, hope in a couple weeks this winter will just settle down. Look at this, kind of like a bouquet of jackfruit seedlings here. Kind of looks like it could just be a house plant, you know, with first I thought, you know, with that little one there, let's see if we can zoom in on it, coming out of the same seed, that it could be polyembryonic too. But now I'm thinking it's just a limb that, you know, is attached to that main stem. Maybe it got some kind of damage or something when it was sprouting, and it just said, okay, this is like a new bud we're going to put out. So it could be just 2, which I guess, based on what I can see. If you did not watch the first part of this video, the first video, I did talk about being glad that I propagated a lot of things in bulk in like single containers, like these jackfruit, and especially like the papayas over here. You know, I was thinking, well, it'd be nice if we could put like 4 seeds in each 1-gallon pot and just, you know, look at that. What is there, 100 or more there? We have 2 pots with multiple avocados, at 18 or 20 or more star fruit in a single pot. So, I mean, imagine each one of them having a pot that we had to protect. And the 3 pots of moringa cuttings, a few pots of these spinach, Okinawa spinach plants. It'll probably also been 10 or more extra pots for each white sapote seed. Well, it's time to detag this avocado, since I'm pretty sure it's not the fantastic seedling and it's just a Hass or grocery store avocado. Detagged. Now this number 3 loquat here looks every day like it's getting more bud swelling and green there, like it's fixing to push that bud out. But it's just so slow, probably just because it's cold weather here. And it's probably better to do it in spring or summer, where it will take faster and bud out faster. This champagne here was the first one to bud out, and this guy here just budded out, and it has like maybe some more deeper green coloration and everything. It looks more healthy. So it's been 2 or 3 days since I filmed any on this video. But 2 or 3 days ago, I started working on framing out this post-mycorrhizal bed here for these pineapple guavas mostly. But I guess it's going to encompass this olive tree and this other pear tree as well. It's going to be huge. As you can see, I don't have the biggest logs, going around there yet, but have a few other things like what's that, rain tree or empress tree or whatever that is, invasive plant that I pulled down to just kind of give it feel in here. So it looks like we're going to be doing basically this post-mycorrhizal bed for 11 trees and possibly, or shrubs and trees, possibly, room for a few more pineapple guavas or whatever as well. But, this was just totally on a whim. I started stacking these and just to try to get some stuff done early. Nice sweet gum log, piece of a sweet gum log there, but we got sweet gum, camphor, I got some citrus and a few other things so far. Probably have, and pine as well, I think. We'll probably have a lot more different materials and leaves and maybe some pine needles and maybe even some real mulch, like directly under at least the pineapple guavas that are flowering, because we want it to drop on something flat and not like raised up like all these limbs and stuff, so the fruit doesn't get lost, below something. We're on the other side now. This is where that big sweet gum stops right there, so we still got to kind of come all the way around here, 10-12 feet. But even then, most of this area is smaller sticks like over there. That's not going to build a frame. We got to layer it with multiple limbs and stuff to probably create a 6 or 8 inch high frame. And then, even like 3 or 4 inches in the middle would be fine, because we just need that moisture retention. We need those nutrients as the stuffed leaves and twigs and everything break down to give the plants a little bit more nutrients. And we want to get the beneficial nematodes and mycorrhizal fungal activity going. And we'll see if production gets better, and just see what happens. Almost looks like hurricane weather.
We never saw a rain almost before Christmas. It's almost before Christmas.
And a little bit of sun breaking through all this rain, and a lot of wind still blowing in that cold front. It's going to be like 35-ish degrees tonight. Our plants should be happy and well watered now, and with that sun coming out, it's warming everything up. I've been hoping to see some more of these white sapote seeds just pop up and sprout, but hasn't happened so far. A lot of water on the ground. Hopefully it'll dry up before tonight, and so I can get out here in the land here and pick up a few of the plants that we need to take in tonight. As you can see right there, they're still green on this white sapote here, and this guy here, you can tug on it, and there's a pull there. It's not, or I should say, resistant. So there has to be some roots or something in there that's holding it in place. So, and then there should be one more somewhere around this. Are we going to have 5 or 6? These are original ones we planted, and this is what the biggest one looks like that. Check this out. Look at there. That one's getting ready to sprout. So that is number 6. They all look like they're alive and ready to sprout. Starfruit or carambola, I've been like thinking it was dying, but look at this. I don't know if you can see, but there's a lot of green on that now. It's like perking up a little bit. And with this rain, it might have just made it a little bit better. It definitely looks like it's still got some life in it. There might be some buds and stuff here too. And our little moringa sprout is probably about 2 inches now. Hopefully this guy will just heal up and be fine. I definitely wish I had more space and stuff and would have just put these jackfruit seeds in 1 gallon pots, but we would have 15 or 20 extra pots just for these. But the difference between these and maybe avocados have like a mid-level of growth, I guess, or papayas start out just a little tiny bit, and these guys have a lot of growth, so they overcrowd way faster than either one of them. Look at the papayas. They're 3 inches, maybe 4 max. you know, they could grow in here, crowded out for a little while longer and not be a problem. I'm going to take a huge chance and leave all the Jaboticabas out, all the Suriname cherries out, aloe, tropical guava, and Barbados cherry, hoping that we do not get below that 35-degree threshold, you know, and go to like 32 or 28 or something, or we could be in major trouble. If not, all the avocado sprouted seedlings are also going to stay out as well. So let's hope we don't have $200 or $300 worth of losses. I think the Jaboticaba seeds alone was like 70 or 80 bucks, and that was over a year ago. Not leaving out are the white sapotes, the katuk, moringa, and cuttings, or the Okinawa spinach. A lot of these loquats that we potted in pots and just yanked them up instead of digging them up properly, we stressed out a lot and they're not perking up. And we did this on near the end of season 2 of our garden vlog, and you know, as you can see, they're still drooping like crazy. So what a lot of people do when they transplant something from the ground is they'll clip it, you know, maybe halfway or maybe even shorter than that, so that they have less energy in the root system, trying to keep the whole plant stress-free and healing it. You know, this will mean less actual plant material at the top to try to heal. And we're going to go ahead and prune them. As you can see, we got a lot of these pruning tops here, and we clipped them here, clipped them there, clip, 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 and let's just see how they do now. It's definitely looking more and more like this loquat number 3 is fixing to shoot some sprouts out. Look at that green right there at the bud. It's the next morning again, and guess what? The weather report was wrong again. It got to 33 degrees. Hopefully nothing takes any major damage or dies. And it stayed in that 33-degree range for several hours. I think the high today is supposed to be anywhere from 57 to 59 Fahrenheit. And another low predicted at 33. So if it got to like 29 or something tonight, it might put some major damage on some of these plants. So maybe we should just take everything in tonight. I'm attempting to do a wolf loquat, and you can see pretty green growth there. So I don't know how successful we'll be. And a big issue is the seedlings take, I guess, several years to get to a diameter where you can actually graft them, because this is the tip here, new growth, and it's still a pretty big diameter in comparison to a lot of trees that put on new branches. Deleaf it and wrap it. This is our piece of rootstock. Not super happy with that, but this sign wood is so soft it's hard to cut. We keep going, it's probably just going to take all of our wood, so we're going to try to press it hard with the tape and hope we get some connection there. So there we go. Wish us luck. Another day, and the forecasters got it wrong again. It was supposed to be 33, and then by the second half of yesterday, and today is December 13th, by the second half of yesterday, they said it was going to be 40 degrees last night and this morning. So it went from 33 to 40, and it was actually 37. All right, Charlie, you're helping out building this post-mycorrhizal bed?
Yeah, and I'm holding a lot of logs.
A lot of logs.
Yeah,
Over here.
I've been holding 4 logs.
All the plants are outside again today because I think we've got like at least a week, maybe longer, or it's not too hot in the day and not too cold at night. We'll have to check, you know, like the orchids and stuff like that, just to make sure we stay around that 60 degree, 58, whatever night. Well, we can bring them in if we have to. Bottom soaking the some of the orchids that have holes in the bottom, and that little matchstick bromeliad that kind of dried out inside. Here comes the boring stuff. Rainwater on those plants, and we're going to do the orchids that don't have a drain hole in the bottom. We're just going to fill it to the top with water and just drain them at the end of the day. We're not gonna go hog wild on this rainwater here. I think we're only using about 4 gallons, and we're just making sure those roots get just a little bit wet. And the main reason is because it's possible it's gonna rain today in a few hours. 40-50% chance. If it doesn't and these guys look stressed, I'll just add some, city water to it, because we're kind of getting low on our rainwater reserves, and hopefully we'll get some rain here and there to fill our reserves back up. Those orchids have about had it, but they've lasted a little while. Getting a little bit of brown patches and spots on them. Who would have thought you would have been watching hours of an update video that mostly revolves around cold weather, bringing plants inside and out, and watering them, with a little bit of doing other stuff as well. Or maybe you just turned it off way before here and said, this is the most boring update video ever. This is the first of our second round of white sapote sprouts. Look at there, it's pushing the soil there. I seen that this morning, and now there's the sprout underneath. And here's another one, just pushing out. Check this out. And here's another one. And here is another. Here are the original 6 that we did. Definitely green on them, but this just goes to show you should always dehusk these guys. They probably spend a lot of their plant energy in their seeds and their embryos just trying to break through that husk, or you could have one like this. And there's another one coming up there from these new ones. So I have a feeling in the next few days, probably most of them will come up that have been dehusked at least. I understand if you pay $5 per seed and only have a few, and you want to be super careful, and not destroy the embryo or whatever, because we did scratch the seed, through the husk once or twice when we were dehusking. But it seems like it's not a problem, but I guess there's always a possibility you could introduce bacteria or anything with that scarring when you do that. But if you have plenty, just dehusk them, have them come out, have them sprout sooner. Now I could see the opposite being something too, because if you're not in that subtropical, tropical zone, and you're in a temperate and a cold zone or whatever like us, you may actually want to mass produce them in a pot. Just scar the seed, just make sure there's a little bit of a hole there. Although I think when you soak them for 2 or 3 days, you kind of swell it and it kind of opens up a little bit anyway. But that would ensure that maybe the plants aren't too big by the time warmer weather comes and you have to repot them in individual containers. So I guess I could see it either way, because these guys are ready in the winter, at least here and in California and stuff. So doing it that way, you would be able to protect them easier because you have less mass, I guess, less pots to protect during the winter time, or put in your greenhouse or take inside. And then, the following spring, summer, pot them up and take it from there. Check it out. There is a sprout in that Mexican little avocado there coming through that pit. So we got another one that has sprouted. So we only have 2 left, that one and that one, that have not sprouted. Every other one has sprouted from these GHB avocados. And it's possible just the way we turn the pit, upside down or whatever, just delayed the sprout coming up, through the soil. It is December 16th, and it's a dreary day out here. It may look like a cold, dreary day, but it's actually warm and muggy. It's supposed to be high of like 77, so almost 80 degrees. And then Saturday and Sunday and Friday night, we're going to get between like 32 and 42 degrees. This is the first loquat that was pushing out buds that I grafted earlier this year. And it's pushing a side bud out, so it kind of pushed the grafting tape down a little bit. There's some other little tiny buds there that might do something later. So this guy looks good. And we put it out in the full sun now. They say, you know, that loquats in Florida need to be kind of full sun in the wintertime. And if they get a super hard freeze, it could actually kill the scion wood here. So maybe we need to protect it if it gets down to 32 or below. So I sort of briefly talked about those loquat seedlings that were just scattered under the tree and stuff, not having a big enough diameter for the most part, even though they're probably 2, 3, 5 years old, some of them. They're just so densely packed, so shaded, that they probably just don't have the ability to grow super fast. And even though I've looked it up, and you know, they're supposed to be able to be graftable size at 1 year, but that's probably when you put them in the full sun, when you put them in pots, or you make you a nice row, you know, spaced, you know, 12, 24 inches apart or whatever, and give them some fertilizer and stuff to make them grow. But yeah, even the newest growth on a mother tree, a grafted tree, has such bigger diameter that, you know, it's not going to fit on with a regular cleft graft. And you can, if it's the opposite, where the rootstock is bigger and the scion wood, the mother plant, is smaller, then you can do a modified cleft graft, you know, by just moving that cut, that slit from the middle to closer to the edge, where the cambium layers match between the rootstock and that scion wood. And sometimes people will do like 2 or 3, I guess, usually 2, I think, with a modified cleft graft, 1 on each side, and then the middle would be like packed with wax or tape or whatever to try to make sure water and moisture doesn't get in that little crack there. All right, let's just visualize this. Just pretend this is a smaller piece of scion wood, and this guy here is the rootstock. As you see, they're not going to match up. And you know, in a perfect world, a cleft graft would match up on both sides. Normally you would do your split down the middle. No, that's not a perfect middle cut when you do a same size, you know, scion wood match. But in this case, let's put it to the side. As you can see, we're not in the middle. We intentionally went to the side. And as you can see, it sort of matches up on that side. Now this is a dried out piece of wood, so it's not cutting very properly, but that kind of gives you the idea right there that you could do that modified cleft graft when the scion wood is smaller than the rootstock. So let's look at what a cleft graft would look like if this was your scion wood bigger than your rootstock down here. Where's the cambium layers going to match? And that's a potential problem. But there's a guy, I think Flying Fox Fruits in like Central or South Florida, that does loquats like this, and he says they will find a way to actually work this way. Most plants probably wouldn't, because I mean, where's the cambium layer match? Maybe he matches the cambium layer there, I don't know, at the top. But there are 2 grafting techniques, including a reverse cleft graft, where you cut your spike or whatever you want to call it into the rootstock versus the scion wood, and you make sort of like your saddle, you know, on the actual scion wood. You got your spike on your rootstock there, and your slit like a modified cleft graft on your scion wood, and then you put them together just like that. And yeah, see, but I guess depending on the type of graft or what you're grafting, that nursery says that within 1 to 2 seasons it'll actually match up in size. I don't know, but you know, if that's the only way you can do it, then that's better than nothing. There is another graft called a Z graft, which I'm not even going to attempt here because I've never tried it. I think it, you know, it's kind of like a whipping tongue that's got a few extra cuts in it, and I think it actually sort of gives you a chance to graft it on the top flap and like a bottom flap as well. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of times they say if that top flap fails, they'll just cut it off and try to regraft it again, because for whatever reason, when the top flap does not work, does not take, it causes an issue, I guess, with the plant. But this may be a better option than a Z-graft, you know, unless you're really good at grafting. Obviously, I'm not an expert at grafting at all, even with the cleft graft. The cleft graft is just something that I'm most comfortable with, you know, T-bud and all that stuff. I need somebody to help give me that hands-on experience to try to do that kind of stuff. But they say that, you know, the Z-graft and even like the reverse cleft or saddle grafts and stuff are good options for citrus, because a lot of times you get a scion wood that does not match the actual rootstock. I guess we need to experiment with it, and I just picked out a small piece of the Wolf Loquat, and as you can see, the diameters don't match. This is about 2/3 the size maybe, or smaller, and we're gonna see. And this guy's stressed out a lot, so we probably need to clip it down really low, and that's gonna make it use less of its energy in its root systems and all to try to heal this guy up. All right, we clipped the top there. Well, that's about as good as we can get it. Hopefully when we pull that, tie that guy together, it'll keep the cambium layer in contact. There we go. I put the tag on upside down, but that's okay. I did 3 pieces of grafting tape here, and that last one I really wrapped it tight around that reverse cleft, and it's semi-firm, but when I was working it, it moved just slightly, so I wanted to put that 3rd piece there just to wrap it tighter, and we'll see if it works. A lot of times the rootstock is even smaller than that, but I don't want to go smaller, especially when I'm just experimenting to see if this works at all for me, or see how bad a job I've done. I'm sure a lot of people could get like a close to a perfect, you know, success rate with this here, but we'll see. Looks like we got one more white sapote popping up right there. A little bit of soil popping up there. There could be a sprout there. And we got a little bit of rain last night and today, just a tiny bit, but the humidity's high. Everything has got at least a little bit of moisture in it, so hopefully that means these guys will start sprouting like crazy. Of course, we have some cooler weather Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. About 3 days before Christmas. I don't know how Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday is going to be. So are we going to do one of those crazy cleft grafts where you just, you know, put that larger scion wood, you know, in a normal cleft graft where the scion wood is so much bigger, and even, you know, like put it kind of in the middle, you know, where there doesn't seem to be any, you know, of that cambium layer on either side matching up to the rootstock. Possibly a little bit at the top area if you line it up. I don't know. I guess we need to do one soon. I'm not going to do that right now. But just for experimental purposes, is that guy full of crap, or does he have a good luck doing that? We could probably also do one where we only line up one side and see what happens. Yeah, that's the issue. If you don't line them up on both sides, you know, you have 2 chances of success or failures in a normal cleft graft. It either catches on the left side or the right side or both sides. So if it catches on either side, you got a successful graft. So I took cuttings from 3 of my figs that were growing spindly and not bushing out. And I know it's not really the proper time to top figs, but I topped the LSU Tiger, Emlyn's Purple, and the Honey Plum fig, and we're going to just put them in some pots, and we wrap the cuttings like we did Scion, and we're going to see. I was going to take some cuttings from the Ron de Bordeaux, but somebody had pruned this probably for a year or so before he or she sent it to me, so it's bushing out at the bottom, and this is pretty new growth. You can see it's bushing out there, and it's pretty green, so I'm not going to do one right now. Maybe spring, summer. See what happens with this guy. It's already put on some growth a couple times since I've had these guys. Just were not really big enough to take cuttings from, like this Floria Italian one or whatever, and the white Genoa there. I mean, I probably technically could take a cutting from there, but I'll let it grow another foot or so before I do that. Definitely do want a backup or a couple backups of these Ron de Bordeaux, since they're so hard to get here before anything goes in the ground. So I would definitely like to get a few cuttings next year, successful hopefully, and then plant it in the ground, and then have a backup, and then maybe take cuttings for people that, you know, don't have access to these guys because they're hard to find. So one of my kids decided they were going to pick the only two Mineola Tangelos, and I was waiting for them to get a little bit softer, but they're probably okay. Mineola Tangelos have so far been Natalie's favorite that we've had, but our goats killed our old tree, so we planted a new, like a 3 or 5 gallon tree last year, and we got 2 pretty nice sized fruits here. Now, our old tree had fruits that you could not peel like this without fruit juice going everywhere. Maybe picking them a little bit early is the best thing, because I got a whole fruit, just a little bit of juice came out. Either that or we got the wrong cultivar and the nursery messed up. That's not uncommon either. I got another pawpaw that was too close to a structure, and it looks beautiful now, doesn't it? In a day or two, these leaves would all turn brown and crinkle up and fall off. So we're gonna do a major cutback, and this had some pretty good roots in it. You know, usually when you get seedlings, they have like 1 or 2 little hair roots and a tap root, and that's it. This guy's had a lot of the smaller roots because it's a sucker, I guess. So the trick apparently is to cut it back, you know, halfway, 1/3 or whatever. And you know, I got 1, 2 buds here, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we're going to just cut it back, way back, right above that second bud. There could be another bud hidden there. Otherwise, this guy's almost surely going to die. Almost everybody that does this is not successful with doing root suckers. You occasionally have somebody successful, and I've been told that, you know, like the new growth, spring, early summer is a better time to try to do this. Some people will actually cut the root system like a year before they dig it up, and then the next season they'll dig it up. There's nothing. This is the other one we did that is tiny, and it lost its leaves within a few days. But, you know, we'll see how both of these guys do. And this is the same genetic one. Just put this one in a little bit of water here to soak it up. Probably it wouldn't hurt to do rooting hormone or anything when you do this, but we'll see. You know, most likely these guys won't survive, but it's possible that they will. Hopefully we're making it a little less boring by throwing in some actual gardening stuff. But yeah, we still have 2 avocados. There's 2 pits there that have not sprouted yet, and that one split. This one, I guess I got it sideways, so I don't know what this guy's doing. And I'm just taking another look at this carambola or star fruit, and the bark itself looks like it's greener and more healthy every day. So I thought for sure this was going to die. I probably already said that once or twice. And I'm just waiting to see if it throws out some new leaves or something, because it looks healthy. So let's talk about loquats again. Now, there are 2 varieties that are possibly, they've been discussed that they could be the same variety. Shambhala was found in or outside of Gainesville, Florida, as a potential new cultivar, but supposedly being late blooming and having very similar or the same fruits as an old variety called Novak, and they are being sold separately as different cultivars, even from some of the same nurseries. But there is like no proof that Shambhala is actually a different cultivar. I do have a Shambhala that I guess the guy that moved on the property, he tried to get information about where this mother tree came from. Was it already a grafted tree from, 20, 30, 40 years ago? And I guess he couldn't find that answer. If they are the same actual cultivar, then I would think that calling it Novak, which is more well known, is probably a better way to market and sell it, versus Shambhala, which is like just a local variety that very few people have heard of. There are also some discussions regarding topping off and pruning loquats to make them smaller. And there's, some talk that once you do that first initial pruning to bush it out or whatever, that it will never go as high, no matter, even if you leave it and don't prune it later, as a tree that hasn't been pruned at all. That's kind of why I decided to plant my multi-graft loquat under the power lines, and this was actually the nursery that told me this is the best place for it. He said, you know, we've already topped it, we've already pruned it because we multi-grafted it so it has multiple branches already. You know, you might have to prune it so that if one cultivar is like overtaking the others, you want it to kind of balance out. But other than that, he said, you know, it may not even reach, you know, over like 15 feet. In fact, we had like a whole discussion or two, you know, 2024 in our garden vlog a while back, maybe in multiple videos about, initially I said don't plant trees under power lines, and it wasn't just because they go, you know, up the power line or get bigger than the power line, and then the power companies just wipe them out, you know, 2/3 of the tree and all that stuff, or they may even, certain cities may say you're not allowed to plant anything under the power lines anyway without getting fined or, you know, getting your plants just ripped up. But the other issue was squirrels and stuff use those power lines as their highway system to go from pecan tree to pecan tree to pear tree to pear tree and other fruit trees and acorns, you know, there are oak trees and stuff like that. So a lot of times when you have something under a power line, you can just kiss your fruit and your nuts and such goodbye. So of course what the nurseryman said was reassuring, but also even if the squirrels wipe out a lot of the plants, that gives me more mother tree, mother stock, you know, more materials, more genetics, more cultivars, so that I can graft, you know, and produce more trees and stuff for other people, including myself too. It's interesting to, you know, people collect baseball cards, people collect games, movies. I used to collect baseball cards, but you know, some people collect cars and action figures. But it's also interesting to collect, you know, cultivars of different types of cool fruiting trees and nut trees and stuff like that. It almost seems like when you have live plants, live plant materials, that it's more meaningful. You know, you can do something and it's not just self-gratification, you know, where you put something in a basement and store it for 50 years. You have the power and the knowledge, you know, to give back to the community, to give them things that they don't have, to trade things, you know, for something that you don't have. 7 days till Christmas. It's the 18th, December 18th, and I've just worked on this framing of this post-mycorrhizal bed just a little bit more, putting a few small things, a few medium-sized things in. I think I got a little bit of cottonwood. I think I got a pretty nice piece of old wax myrtle and a few other things, some oaks and more camphor, and this old Mineola tangelo, which is a citrus tree that the goats killed years ago. I just put it up there, the whole thing. So another day is about over. Didn't really do much as far as gardening today, and we're getting ready for Christmas. It's kind of been really muggy and warm the last few days, and we're getting ready for those, like I said, 2 or 3 days of, or at least 1 night and 2 days of cool weather. Christmas sort of got spoiled, at least for what I bought Nellie, because I got the kids to help pick out a gift, and that was one of them. And she guessed what it was, and they said, yeah, that's what we got you. So that big item is, you know, kind of like a vegan leather purse with a really artistic design on it. And I got her a wind chime, and she thought that my gift was coming today, so a package came today, and she ran me out of the house and said, "Kids, come on, let's go wrap Daddy's present." So she opened the box, and it was that wind chime, and they're like, "Mama, did you get Daddy a wind chime?" She said, "No." Oh, so 2 out of her 3 gifts, her biggest gifts, have been spoiled this Christmas. I have no idea what I'm getting, but she offered to let me open one of my stocking stuffers, but I haven't so far. I think all of the avocados that are in the ground or in raised beds look good still, so hopefully any frost we have, they'll just make it through. I don't know though, because I really doubt these guys hit in the 20s. We had predictions of 28 or 29, and I think it got to like 31 to 33, and I think it hit 31 here twice in two different nights. I don't know which date or month that we're going to officially release these videos and start season 3 of our garden vlog online, but you know, so if we do it in like January, we could still have frosts. But you know, if we do it in February, you know, possible frost, but you never know. We could still have, I guess sometimes there's like cool weather, even too cold to plant corn, you know, and sometimes in May. But I would hope that by February, we're hopefully out of that, you know, potential for like a 19 to 26, 28 degree freezes. I don't know. I was reading a thread, I don't know if it was on Reddit or Fruit Growing Forum or message board or something last night about somebody in like Central Florida, Orlando area maybe, possibly just north of Tampa. They were talking about 2018 freezes that wiped like a lot of plants out, including like jackfruits and stuff, that even here, you know, in similar weather, I think they said like one of their Dunkin' grapefruits got killed. You know, that's surprising to me because we do Dunkin' grapefruits here, and usually that 29 or 28 degrees or whatever they had will not, you know, knock them down unless it's a late spring freeze where, you know, everything is getting a new flush of growth and going into growth mode and green. And you know, we almost had our original mini Latangelo die that way. You know, 2/3 of that tree just went pew, and one late frost, and you know, it did come back and it never froze again until, you know, the goats killed it. Or I should say the goats killed it. It didn't get killed by a frost. But yeah, I think I'm pushing for February or later before we start season 3. You know, it's very possible that we won't have scion wood or anything. We may just can't afford, you know, to go and do 1 or 2 or more orders for January shipping. I know the one year, was it a year or 2 ago, we did pawpaws just a tiny bit late in the season, I believe, and we didn't have the best of luck grafting them. We had a couple graft, but it was like instead of having 2/3 success, we had maybe 1/3 success. And I sort of have to try to not go into the negative thought, you know, negative mindset, and keep telling myself there's always next year. But you know, hopefully we'll have a start of things like including American persimmon rootstock for either American persimmons or Asian persimmons. And you know, that we should have rootstock for avocados. We should have potentially rootstock for maybe white sapotes if we want to do them, and loquats. And you know, we could do loquats. They say the summer, the hottest part of the summer, is the worst time to do them, followed by, you know, the winter in the north central Florida area, or a little bit north, because they can, you know, the scion wood can be tender and it could freeze. If we think back on the avocado projects, experiments, we're still in very early stages of doing this. So, you know, we haven't had a super bad freeze yet. Hopefully we won't. Hopefully these guys will harden off for 2 or 3 years and we won't get like a 18 to 22 degree freeze. You know, even like a 25 or 26 degree freeze would scare me right now. But you know, this is life. You know, sometimes you will get down on your first year with citrus or avocados or anything in the ground and have a super harsh winter. So right now with avocados, I would say that having successes with avocados is more important than to have quantity, a large quantity of them, you know. But hopefully that may come in the future. If we have successes on a small scale, hopefully that means we can have successes on a larger scale. And I've never had a successful mulberry graft, you know, even though, you know, I've only tried once or twice with probably 6, 8, 9, something like that, scion wood pieces. Hopefully we're going to change that. I've never had a successful persimmon graft. Hopefully we're going to change that. So we got a lot of things to keep working on, a lot of things to look forward to, hopefully. So if we don't have everything we want now, you know, it's just a piece of scion wood away from, you know, the first success. We got to just keep thinking like that. It is December 19th, and check this out. One of these original white sapotes that's in this, the first ones we got, the first 6 seeds, is actually finally pushing out a little sprout there. And here, I think, is another sprout trying to shoot out here from the last ones that we bulk planted in here. I don't know how many we put in here, 6, 8, 10. So that's number 5. And here's another white sapote just shooting out about an inch above the soil there. With all this rain and hot, steamy weather, you know, it's bound to happen. And here's another white sapote in another pot. Looks like all but 3 of the seeds in individual pots have sprouted. And we got 2 more from the originals, and they still look green. They're probably going to sprout. And then this bucket here where we put the small seeds and everything that went down, you know, in the water here. So I'm assuming anything viable is going to sprout in here, whether it be 6 or 8 or 10. I'd have to go back to like looking through 2 hours of video to see exactly how many seeds I put in here. So I think we're going to be close to, if not right at 100% on our star fruit, our jackfruit, our white sapotes, and our GHB avocados. Still waiting for those last 2 GHB avocados to sprout. But I guess if they're turned sideways or upside down, that just makes them take a lot longer to push, you know, their sprouts around and through the soil and back up, you know. These moringa cuttings are showing signs of life. In fact, this guy here was like showing some like fungus or something, so I pulled it out and it's kind of just rotted, so I pulled it. I don't know if we're going to have one successful rooted cutting. So this guy here, keeping this guy alive, this little guy that already had roots when we got it, might be our only moringa. So it is December 20th, and I'm throwing out a few more sticks and stuff for this big giant pineapple, guava, etc. post-mycorrhizal bed. I have no idea when this project's going to be finished. It may not even be finished when we start season 3 officially, you know, when this video is released. Yesterday it was supposed to be rainy and stormy all day, and we did not get a drop of rain. Today is windy, super windy. High of 67. Actually feels pretty good now, since it's probably like 1 o'clock and 1:30 p.m. and sun's out, but the sun's probably fixing to go down, and I think it's supposed to be 39 tonight. Out. I've never seen fruit split on a blood orange. I don't even know if you can see that, how orange or bloody that looks. I don't know if that's something to do with the weather, or if a bird or an animal got to it and it just split. I've never seen one that bloody looking though, that red. These blood oranges usually have like a darker end where there's more red pigment, and then a lighter end that's more similar to like a regular orange, kind of that yellow color there. And these guys have a bit of a tang to them. Now, this is probably the flavor I would like if I was juicing an orange. you know, for orange juice and to mix with cocktails or whatever. I like a little bit more sourness in my orange juice. There is no sign of those pumpkins that we buried in the ground yet of coming out. They could have just rotted, or maybe they're waiting for warmer weather. I guess we'll know within a few months. This is the original cocktail citrus that we planted here for, you know, my oldest son. Each one of them planted a tree when they were somewhere around 2 years old. This guy's just been a runt, and we took the tire off of it, did a post-mycorrhizal bed earlier this year, and it's either going to take off or it's just going to struggle. I guess we'll know within probably a year or so if we just need to chop it down and maybe have them plant a different tree somewhere else. Comparison, the second kid's cocktail grapefruit's probably 3.5, 4 foot tall. Not the best coloration there. Maybe it's got some nutrient deficiency. The youngest son's plant, you know, it's only about 6 or 8 inches shorter than the other one. Way bigger than that first one, and it's still in a tire. We need to take the tires out of both of these last two. One of the questions you may have is if we are going to fertilize and feed these pineapple guavas after we get the post-mycorrhizal bed down. As of now, I think the most important factor is to have this act as a mulch. It's going to be, like I said, not like an 8 or 10 or 14 inch bed. You know, even if it's 3 inches, you know, all around here, it's going to act as moisture retention. So maybe in a couple years, we'll have enough stuff decomposing here to actually feed them. But this year, I think we're going to just go ahead and fertilize as needed. That is a little bit different than like the avocados where, you know, from what I've read, you don't need to give them just nitrogen or just this or that unless they have a specific need that they're deficient of. So that's why I kind of let the bed sort of feed it, you know, and we'll reevaluate in a year or two as long as these guys, their avocados, survive, and see what happens, see if they need something else. But we do have our stink water bucket there, so, you know, we can supplementally feed, water things with that, including the pineapple guavas and the oranges or whatever else is back here. And this is my one and only grapefruit from that red seedling because of the drought. And it kind of sucks a lot that we didn't get a bigger harvest due to that drought, because we started selling citrus last year, maybe a little bit the year before, and we were looking forward to bringing in $200-400 extra dollars for selling, you know, grapefruits and stuff like that. The end of the year and the beginning of the new year represents a lot of spending, you know, Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas, New Year's, tax season, and obviously getting ready, preparing for scion wood grafting, fruit trees, you know, dormant fruit tree season as well. Check this out. This white sapote decided to send 2 shoots out, just like a few of the other seeds have done. Is this a polyembryonic seedling? Well, it's about 4:30 p.m. The sun is setting and it's getting chillier and more windy. Just wanted to briefly talk about, in the olden days, some people used to call these, I think they call them tree pots now, air pruning pots. So this is what they call an air pruning pot now. It's got holes, I guess, all around here, and it prunes the hair roots and everything. As they grow out of these holes, they dry up and the roots just fall off. Now, if you have these tree pots in the ground or on top of the ground or something, the roots are going to go through the ground. But they made these little stands that held them in the air, you know. So basically, when the roots come out of the bottom, they would just do the same thing, but it doesn't have these top and middle section roots and all, or holes for the roots. I just got rid of my grow bag with the banana tree I had in it, but the grow bags are also root pruning bags, but they just do not hold a lot of moisture because they dry out, and every outer inch of the actual bag But, you know, roots don't generally grow out. These tree pots are cool, though, because they look how much longer, you know, taller they are. And you can get them smaller. But you can do something with a super long taproot and do like an air pruning thing with that. But if you have something with shorter root systems like avocados, you know, you might want something like this or a grow bag. I'm going to mention the nursery that sold these as air pruning containers, because I got most of mine from a nursery, and mostly from pawpaws and stuff. They have that long taproot in them, and yeah, this is what they sold, you know, as an air pruning container. Yeah, it's been a few days since I did any recording. It's Christmas Eve, and look at here. Got another one popping up, a white sapote. So 3, 4, 5, 6 in here so far. So 3 of these citrus grafts failed. There's one. There's the other one right there. Of course, it just broke loose there. And this guy here, they were all brown and cracked easily. No green on them. We still have this guy's green and this largest one. I can't really tell with it wrapped, so maybe I need to unwrap it and just see if it's dead or if it has any green left in it. And yep, that's pretty much brown there. No connection. It hasn't like fused together, even though it kind of looked like it did, but I barely touched it and it just popped loose. There could still be a little bit of green on the scion wood, but it's dried out where it connected. So maybe we'll try again in the spring. As you may be able to see, it just kind of got a little bit moldy, and if I do a scratch test, there's like no green there. Just it was a bigger piece. It took longer for it to sort of rot, but it's a failure. That goes back to this little tiny one here that's still green. You can see the green bud and stuff there, or the tip. Is that guy going to make it, or are we going to have to start all over again? Well, it's probably about time that we compile all we have and do part 2 of, you know, what, 3, 4? Hard to tell how many parts we're going to have before we officially start season 3 of the garden vlog. But I put some more sweet gum and camphor limbs and sticks and all in this pineapple guava area here. Are we going to have it done before season 3 starts with all the leaves and everything we need? I sort of have a hate-hate relationship with sweet gums, or I sort of used to have, because they're always falling, they're always getting disease, kind of like our maples, red maples here. They'll shoot up 2 or 3 new trees a year, and 2 or 3 or more will fall each year. But now they're providing at least materials for these beds. Pine trees, camphor trees, cottonwood, sweet gums, and red maples provide the majority of our fallen trees and limbs and wood and, you know, leaves and pine needles. These things sort of helped build our like hugelkultur / raised beds when we started. These things have built, you know, our mycorrhizal raised beds, and you know, they help aid in compost and all kinds of stuff, mulching, you know, making sure the soil around the roots, the feeder roots of so many plants and trees, you know, are moist instead of drying out and dying. And you know, this is the whole point about doing it with the pineapple guavas here, because they're so fussy. They look so good one day, and then their leaves are drooping like crazy the next day. You may water them deep, and then they look happy again for a day or 2. Or if you let them droop and just be sad, you know, for a little while, then they die. Hopefully, working on this post-mycorrhizal bed here for them, we won't have to worry about it. So if we miss, you know, a few weeks or a month, hopefully the plants will still be happy. Hopefully they won't droop too bad. You know, if we get a severe drought, we're probably still going to have to water everything. But it should be better than having to come in and water every day or every other day and spend so much time doing it. I think this is the first avocado that we pinched, you know, pruned down of our GHB avocados, and look how bushy it's looking already. There's like potentially 4 points, grafting points there when this tree gets a little bit bigger. And there will probably be more than that later on.